Hi, my name's Hal Gumbert with Camp Software, and I wanted to show off the interface for Xanadu. We'll start off at the login screen, and I'm going to go ahead and log in. Safari remembers my information, so it just typed it in and submitted it, and it sent me a code via text message and also one via email. And I'm going to go ahead and just choose it from Safari and then enter the code to login. And if you watch right here, you'll see a little spinner pop up and it'll disable the button. And if it fails, let's actually log out and so we can see what that looks like. So if I put in gibberish, it'll put us a message down here, show us a message of what's wrong. So we have a password and now it says the email address is not valid. So it makes sure that you're entering things correctly. So if I put in how@mac.com, that login does exist and that's the wrong password and it tells it it's not there. So we'll do it right again, and I'll go ahead and enter in my credentials, hit login, and it's going to send me another text message and I'm in. So it took me to the contacts page because this is the last page I was at, but if I pop over to home, this was where we would put our initial login with a dashboard like showing recent contacts, recent invoices, like anything that might be important to you. Going back to contacts, we have a list of contacts here with 489 of them in this list, and if I click one, it'll show me their detail. For most of the fields, almost all the fields, some are pop-ups and such, but if I type in the field and click out, as soon as I click over here, it's going to show that it saved the middle name and done. So I'm going to go ahead and clear that out just to keep my data clean. But we also have the person's name and company name up at the top, and it's also repeated in the list. So if I happen to type a couple exclamation points, and we're going to see a bug in a second, which we've added to our list, but it doesn't put in the colon space. We're going to fix that soon. So if updated that, and we might not have noticed it, but it had a couple messages over here. So I'll clear that out and click. So it saved the company name, it saved the name update, and then those cleared out. There are different kinds of fields, controls. We have an image field. This has a picture. I'm going to go ahead and just click. We'll start there. We'll click there, and this is me as a little kid. So I'm going to hit choose for upload, and bam, it uploaded it to the server, put it in a folder, and then made it visible. And if I switch contacts here, we'll see that it's stuck. So it's actually saved. We can also do something pretty cool here. If I go to the desktop, into a folder here, I got demo stuff, and here's our original picture. I can drag and drop that right on top of the little photo icon. You can see the little plus sign and let go, and that'll upload as well. Now I noticed we have a little bug in this. If we zoom in with our keyboard commands, Command plus or Command minus, then for some reason the upload doesn't work. But if you're at the normal size, it works. That's something we're going to look at in the future. So going on, we have some drop-downs. This is a drop-down. Actually, technically it's a select with an other. And let's see, we have one here too. So Mr. Ms. So I can hit other and then enter it. That pops in its current value. But I could type MRS and hit OK. And now we can see it just appended it to the list right now. But if we reload the page, I just hit Command R. It recalculated, and now it's one of the values. And if I go back to the original value, we can see it's saved. Reload again, and since Mrs. is no longer there, it's not in the list anymore. But as soon as we add it again, it'll pop right back in. So we have selects. This is a select without another. Like in this case, we don't want anybody choosing anything else, like 17. We don't want 17 days. Here we have a type ahead. So if I type M, or let's see, N, it brings up the states that match that. So We'll pick New Hampshire, and there we see it saved. There's other kinds of controls. This is a text area. We have a date with a date picker. Over to the right, there's like we call these magic dates. It just pops in whatever one you're looking for. So today is March 23rd. So if I say month begin, it pops in 3/1. This can get handy too. There's a way to do 2 fields at once, like for ranges. So like this quarter, we could design that to fill in 2 fields with a begin date and an end date. It's pretty cool stuff. Same thing for time. Time can be hand entered, or it just has a list of times. So in case you just want to pick one quickly. These are all, once you download Xanadu and play with it, you can change these however you want them to be. If you want 15-minute increments, 10-minute increments, whatever. And here we have a timestamp, which has a date with a time. And it has the same options, but they tend to choose, if I choose today, it basically choose right now for today. But if I do yesterday, okay, I picked yesterday with today's time. That's fair. And we also have numbers. So numbers are neat because in the database, we tell it how many decimal points. So we've told this integer that it has no decimal points. So if I type in 567 and click, it rounded up because that's what we told it to do. So it rounds it up, and then same thing for decimals. So these two are defined. This one is defined with 4 decimals. So if we do 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, it'll just round it up on the last decimal point. I'll just put an 8 back in. And if you're watching, like, we could see it saved. And that's how quick it's saved. Now, for currency, it's the same exact thing, but with a $sign. So we could type in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And when we click out, it pops it in. And if we add additional numbers on the front, it'll automatically add in the commas. So that's doing it all in the background, rounding, adding the commas, and it strips them when it goes to save it into the database. And I'm just going to clean up my data as we go. I'll paste in that, and there, turn it into a number. We also have, so we have some basic, the name information, comms, that could be like addresses, phone numbers, and such. Everywhere you see a blue button, a plus button, that means you can add it. So I can hit plus, and it'll say, would you like to create a new contact? So my choices are cancel or create. If I hit escape, it'll cancel. And if we see a blue button, I can hit return, and it'll go ahead and create the new contact. So it filled it in, it made the new contact, put it in like a placeholder for the photo, and then it had no comms. So I'm going to hit the plus. Said you want to create a comm, so I can hit return, and there's our comm. Excuse me. I can switch the types, phone, web, email. They all just have one field to type data in. But if you type in an address, you need more fields. So it automatically switches to deal with those fields. So I can put in 123 Main Street. So I can fill all that out. There are additional actions besides plus. We can print, we can duplicate, or we can delete. So we're going to clean up and delete this one. Now this one's red, so I cannot hit return. I'm hitting return. It will not work. I have to come and click delete. That way it's more of a I'm sure action. So back to the main record. We have a few different types. So this has a little point, and what this does is it'll bring up a Google map for that address. And similarly, so this will compose an email because it's an email, and this will go to that web page because it's a web page, and this one will try to dial the phone, especially if you're on mobile. There are ways if you're on a computer, a Mac or PC, that it can dial as well. So that's just about everything here. Oh, we didn't do print. So we can print a PDF, and on the fly, it just made this PDF. So it creates HTML and then converts that HTML into a PDF. And if you want to see the base HTML, we can do print HTML. And there it is as well. And if we zoom in, zoom out with plus and minus, we can see it however we wish. Now, I'm logged in as an administrator. If I was not an administrator, all I would have access to is log out and change my password. Change my password asks you to enter in your current password, your new password, and verify. If I just click change it, it tells me, hey, none of these are good. And then once I get everything right, if I enter the current password correctly and enter in the new password so that they match, it will go ahead and update the password. There's a stats page. So it's running terminal commands in the background, and it's getting the amount of free disk space used and also RAM. That's pretty cool. And then on the hard drive itself, our app is located at a directory, and it tells us how big each folder is. So I could say, oh, well, our bucket, and that's where all of our pictures are stored. That's starting to get big. We can figure out what the problem is. We have a list of processes. That tells us how many processors there are, how many process pools, and then sessions. So who's logged in and such. So if I go back to the menu, I can go to settings, and from settings I can see the name of the app. So that's where that's coming from. The little logo is coming from there. There's a bigger logo on some of the other screens. It's coming from that link. If I click the logo, it has a link that's going to go to there and such. So there's a lot of little settings. These are how dates and times and timestamps are formatted. The app currency, like what if you're used to the pound or the euro or whatever currency. If the system needs to send out emails occasionally, like when you log in, it needs your two-factor code. So it will use this to send out emails. And then we use Twilio to send out text messages. So it uses these fields. And let's see. I don't want to click on any of these, but these are reveal fields. If I click on the eye, it'll just show it to us. So that's pretty neat. And then with another part of settings are users. So if I go to users here, I can click on a particular user. This is me, and I can see my user information. So when it sent me a text message, it used my two-factor phone number, and then when it emailed me, it used my email address. And then there's some privileges. So is this person registered? Yes or no? When did they register? If they're active or not? If they're an admin? If they're a member? And the last place they went to. So I just went to server stats, so that it remembered that. Excuse me. There's a login cookie, so that knows, so it can automatically log in if I close the page. In fact, if I close that and then go to Xanadu, it'll take me right back into the database. I'm not sure why it didn't take me into stats, but it must have been where it last remembered. Oh, it was blank. So it must have been because I came to settings and it may have cleared that out. And then the rest of these are having to do with login. So this is the user's password hash seed and the password hashed, the two-factor code that I use to log in, and when it expires. Once we log in, we actually set the expiration date to be a year in the past so that it can't accidentally be used. And if, as an administrator, we may want to reset somebody's password for them. In that case, we can hit password replace and just type in a new password, and it'll blow away their password and just tell them what that password should be. And again, we have the actions. We can print, duplicate, delete, all that good stuff. And that's about it. We're going to do another video soon where we show some of the back-end coding. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Thanks.